Hi guys, Matt the Editor here, and welcome to another edition of Doctor Who Series 12 Who Edited Reviews. This week, it's Praxeus, written by Peter McTeague. I missed out on the episode when it was first released. I've been extremely busy, and by the time I got back, I was really tired. I was really tired that I could not watch the episode, so I watched it the next day. Now, considering Series 12's track record so far, it's been ranging from either really good or really bad to sift through. Spy Force started off strong, but Part 2 felt a little tangent. Orphan 55 was an absolute mess. Nikola Tesla was a simple time periodic story, but none of them were ever mind-blowing, aside from The Master's Return. But then Fugitive of the Judoon came out and surprised a hell of a lot of us. So whether or not you like that episode, I think everyone can agree that this next episode had a lot of stuff to live up to, or at least a long record to break. Building up to this episode, I didn't really think much of it. Whether it is a standalone story or a series arc chapter, it was going to get a couple of outrage or backlash. If it's a standalone story, viewers would be angry not to know more about the series arc, and if it was a series arc story, people might get tired of hearing or seeing the same stuff over and over again. So either way, it should not have worked. And yet, in my opinion, after missing the episode upon its official release and discovering people's reactions to it, it seemed pretty mixed. But watching the episode myself, I actually found myself liking this episode, especially since this is written by the same writer who wrote Kablam last season. I think the best way to talk about this episode is comparing it with Orphan 55. So in comparison to that, how does this hold up? Personally, both episodes suffered the same problems. There are too many side characters, probably a little bit too much premises merged together. But on the other hand, if I was asked which of these stories had a good environmental message, but also a good story to tell, I'd definitely say Praxeus is the better story. It didn't just run its message down your throat or just shoehorn it in your face. It told a good story regarding the message. You can have a message in your product, but you still have to tell a good story which could relate to this message that you're trying to tell. Good examples: Zootopia or Zootropolis, which told an animal body cop story regarding a message on prejudice, or Animal Farm, that's a great example, which told a story about animals uprising the human race, which also has a few elements of historical events. It still gives off a good moral to tell. What I thought really worked with Praxeus was how they used the plastic environmental stuff that is going on in the world, and how they played it into the story. Whilst in Orphan 55 it was just the writers saying, "We'll become these monsters if you don't save the planet, or stop climate change, or global warming, or start wars. You humans suck. This is what your future will be unless you change your ways because we told you so." Forced. Desperate. But here it's played out like, well, because there is plastic in the ocean or in our environment, and because we humans have used plastic ourselves, in our everyday lives, this would make it useful for the aliens or the disease to spread or attach itself to people. Simple? Honestly, how they fitted that with these threats or situations is actually very clever, and I can see that fitting into the Doctor Who universe without having to go overboard. Talking about characters, there were two characters that really stood out for me, especially since this episode was going to possibly have the team split up into different locations. First one, Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. I actually thought she performed in this episode extremely well. She was exactly what the Doctor would do. It did seem like this writer who wrote Kablam, one of my favourite episodes of Series 11, knows how to write the Doctor, because everything that Jodie does in this episode feels very accurate. She's chatting with random strangers whilst trying to solve a mystery. She's experimenting with strange technologies, even if there were only a few scenes. But what really solved it for me, in which I would call my Jodie Whittaker moment of the week. Yes, I am directly copying this from Mr. Tyler's Reviews Matt Smith moment of the week, but I feel like this is the only way to describe her performance in each episode, in my opinion, because she is actually getting better. For me, it was when she was examining the astronaut Adams using a stethoscope, and they're just having a little conversation together as she's examining him or treating him with an antidote. She acts like an actual medical doctor. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, she did do pretty good in the other scenes, but that moment sold it for me. The other character who really stood out was Yasmin, finally given something to do, and not just to have a few more lines or a few more scenes with other characters who are not the TARDIS team. She has actual independent stuff to do. She's abandoning the Doctor to go back and investigate the alien tech and go on her own little side quest. Yes! And everything they did after that was perfect! She's examining the tech very slowly and taking time to fit all the clues together in her head like an actual cop. And in doing so, she finds the missing submarine. That was really impressive. This girl is getting better and better. I especially adore how she thinks she has solved everything, thinking she has found an alien planet, giving herself a good pat on the back. But then when the Doctor comes in and ruins her spirits by saying it's not alien, they are still on Earth, she is downright disappointed. That was a general reaction. Well, at least I found this ship on my own. Wherever this series is going with Yasmin, whether it may be that fan theory that she's going to join the Master, or whether she's going to go against the Doctor's beliefs or orders, I really hope they do it. Ryan and Graham, again, I don't remember doing quite a lot. At first I thought they were going to do a repeat of Ryan's plot with a female character like Orphan 55, but it does not go into that. Honestly, the stuff I remember from Ryan involved the birds. I liked when we first meet him, he is investigating the strange goings-ons with the birds. He even picks up a dead bird in a bag, which he later examines later in the alien tech garage in Hong Kong. I'm starting to see Graham now becoming the comic relief of the entire group, which I'm not a fan of. I mean, I do like comic reliefs if done well, but most of the time his funny moments, I don't know, felt a little desperate. I think what does sometimes work is the whole grandfather/father-like charm Bradley Walsh has towards the character. But we did get a little element of the Graham from Series 11, where he sits next to Jake, the ex-cop, and they get into a normal conversation with each other. I felt like what we got from Series 11 was peeping back into the show again at that moment, and it did lead into the arc of the story. Even the side characters I thought were okay. Each one I felt did stand out pretty well. I noticed on social media that everyone was talking about how a Doctor Who episode features 2 gay characters and it's not turned into a hydro gaze premise, which I cannot lie saying I don't see that in TV and film, but that aside, I did feel like those 2 characters actually worked for me. I really did care about their relationship. I cared about who they were, who they are. I cared about where they were going to go. I especially like how one of them is a successful astronaut who is going to places, whilst the husband is an unlucky ex-cop who is not interested in traveling, even though he wishes he could, despite his former husband doing it. I liked how it did lead them to coming together, and it felt natural. It didn't feel forced or too quick. I believed that they had a history together. Things went wrong, they tried to get through it okay, and when stuff like this happens, they try to make their life worth it. And I'm not gonna lie, I did get a little emotional at the stop dodging lifeline in the TARDIS, even though I wouldn't think the man would touch his dying white diseased skin without protection, but it did get me emotional, and it did play out in the episode's climax. And they both live. The Doctor saves them both. The other characters did okay, given their kind of stereotypes, like Gabriella, who is a video blogger who travels around the world with her partner Jamelia, goes around the world to blog videos, and then all of a sudden the birds attack and alien stuff is going on, and she wants to go out and document it. Simple character. Suki is a science technician based in Hong Kong who helps the Doctor out in cracking the case. The only character I felt we didn't really need was Suki's friend. I can't remember his name. He was fine. I mean, I get it, we need someone to look out for the birds, but why can't the cop do the lookout? All the way through, I remembered nothing of this character, and by the time he was attacked by the birds, I didn't care. And I don't think the Doctor or the others cared either. Bit harsh, isn't it? There is no real villain, or at least no aliens. There are alien stuff, but there is an alien disease known as Praxeus, which is affecting its life forms through the Earth's plastic environments. There are these gas-masked zombies, which they say are humanoids, but honestly, I would have liked it if they said they were humans, just possessed by the disease to mutate them into aliens. But honestly, when the Doctor pointed out that the humans explode when they are fully covered by that Praxeus coral rash, which is a creepy and effective makeup work, by the way, but the humanoids don't. They just remain a sort of shell. Okay, I understand. That changed my mind. You could argue that there is a kind of surprise villain, but honestly, it was kind of obvious as the episode continued who it was. But the way I saw it was that it's not just this one big bad guy trying to do bad things on purpose. It's just these people stuck in a difficult situation. And the threat itself, or as some people call it, a coronavirus, is something which is uncontrollable and is only doing what it was created to do. So it's just a natural coincidence from both worlds. And honestly, with a story like this, which starts off so brilliantly with the shot of the Earth with the crashing spaceship and the birds hovering over a plastic-infested wasteland, granted, at first I thought this could have been another episode where the actual threat is not caused by aliens, except done better, but once they did add in the alien stuff, it was actually kind of clever how they added that into the story, a sort of microfiltration system in the water, filtering out microplastics which the aliens used the human plastic in order to control them. That's actually kind of clever. I did like how, at that moment, the Doctor thought it could have been the Orphans, but then she said, no, it's not their thing. I thought, why not? It could have been their thing if it turns out that they have evolved to do something like that. But seeing as how everyone, including myself, was thinking how a Doctor Who story centering around plastic problems with sea devils or Orphans would be awesome, I don't think any of them would work in this particular story. Oh well, maybe next time. So yeah, this script did feel like it was all coming together. But there is a tiny little problem. I did feel like most of the dialogue was too scientific, which I don't think anyone would get. Not even kids. Like scenes where the characters are taking questions like, what are you talking about? What does that mean, Doctor? And the Doctor gives off this long scientific exposition, which it's not a problem. I watched this episode with subtitles and I did get it. But I do think that this is going to get very complicated to understand. And even moments where you're literally asking the question, what did you say? How do you know that? I do also think that the execution at some moments was lazily done, either in the production or the editing process, particularly in the third act. Once the villain is revealed, sort of, it kind of felt similar to the Witches Finders, how the entire episode was paced so well and was going on the right track, until all of a sudden the makers wanted to end with a big, epic, explosive climax. And I don't think we needed it. Wait a minute, I just realized something. The Doctor used the TARDIS to save this guy from the exploding ship. Why couldn't the Doctor do that before with Adric or any other characters? At first, the villain's death could have been paced better, and some parts of the actual solution of activating the ship, jumping on the ship, flying through a sheet of plastic over the ocean could have been paced better without obvious lines of dialogue. Again, show don't tell. But looking back, I think maybe this ending could have worked if maybe they just slowed down a little. I know there's a ticking time bomb going on, but the very least you could do is project or speak clear enough for your audience to understand, or at least let the visuals tell the story. Let the visuals take time for the viewers to live in that moment. Good example, when the birds attacked the tech lab. That was done great. There's no music playing, there's a sound of birds fluttering in the wind from the outside, it goes silent, and then they burst through the windows. That was good. That worked. Because even though there was no line of dialogue or music playing, you know what is going on because you feel like you are actually there. But once they get on the TARDIS, the astronaut is easily cured off screen. Is it just me, or was that moment where the TARDIS raised up a little miniature platform, was that supposed to indicate that he was healed? Because I didn't get that. I think there was a holographic screen in front of the camera, but even I couldn't get that solution from that shot. You could have easily just had the scene where we see Adam slowly heal from his illness, and then we get a shot of Jake gasping in relief, or Adams open up his eyes to indicate he's okay. But instead, we got Adams and Jake arriving at the ship at the right moment, and they say that he's better now. Okay. And the ending. I don't think it worked for me. Look, I get it. They want to leave it open to possibly mean that it's up to the humans to sort everything out themselves. Fine. I get it. And it works in the story. But from the opening shot of that scene, it looked like the sea was automatically clean. If they wanted to indicate that there is still plastic or there's some still pollution going elsewhere, I would have had the day is saved, the sea is clean, but there are still elements or pieces of plastic or trash scattered across the area, showing the possibility that there may still be more stuff to clean up ahead of us. I did not get a feeling that the humans are going to fix the planet from that ending. It felt too cheesy, tee-hee, ha-ha, happy-go-lucky fun. Maybe if they played the idea of them joining together like Adams and Jake decide to travel the world to save the planet, and then Gabriella calmly suggesting that maybe they might need a documenter or a blogger to help out. And I mean in a gentle but yet tongue-in-cheek tone. That, I think, would have worked. Still, after all of that, I have to admit, I kind of liked Praxeus. I don't think this is a groundbreaking episode by all means, and I don't think it is the best of the series, but I still consider this a solid, simple story for Doctor Who audiences, general and fan audiences alike. The characters were all likable and felt genuine to care about. The story, even with the environmental elements, was actually told in a simple but clever way. Yaz's story stood out to me the most, but the main story did lead to some good character moments. It was the third act that ruined it for me, and this story was going so well. I can see this story having a few nitpicks the more I watch it, and I do want to watch it again, but if you were to ask me which Doctor Who story had a present-day environmental message to tell, but also a good story, I would recommend this one. This is definitely better than Orphan 55. So, overall, I'm going to give Praxeus 7 out of 10. Be sure to leave a comment, like, and share this video, and if you have seen the episode, what did you think about it? And if you'd like to see more of my videos, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.